Good sweaty morning. We've had a pretty decent drop of rain here. At the homestead it was 27.1 mils, but elsewhere on the station it was a lot heavier. Yesterday I flew over to Wongawal to pick up the mail, so Richard didn't have to backtrack basically, because he wouldn't have gotten out to the south. Flying over there, beautiful and smooth. You could see rain just about everywhere. And when we got there, I checked my phone and noticed that Prenty was offline, and that was because the storms were that heavy here. So held up a little while at Wongawal just for a couple of hours while I waited for it to clear up at this end, and then flew home, and it was pretty incredible. Nice fly, but a lot of water everywhere. So this morning the humidity is 61% and we've got a temperature of 30 degrees, so it's just lovely. Now I'm just checking this taxiway, which was done up by the Wiluna Shire guys when they were getting water from one of the points out here for the roadworks. We asked them, can you touch up our taxiway, because it accesses our RFTS strip, so it's all weather, and it looks like it's held up rather well. Because last night when I came in, I landed on the driveway strip, which is naturally this limestone cowcrete material, so it's pretty much all weather for the short field aircraft. But this is it's got water trickling across, but it's competent, it's hard, so I wouldn't have an issue taxiing down it. I can take off on the other strip if I was at least concerned, but I know that if I've got bad weather I can just use a nice big strip. You can see down the side on the soft edge where the light vehicles have gotten stuck before, but that's sort of to be expected because the guys focused on making that area there harder. You can see those little spots there that are a bit soft. Right, so I'll just work out which way I'm gonna go on this. No problems taxiing across this. And today I've got my Starlink Mini up in there, but this plane goes beyond the speed limit of the Starlink. Now I can slow her down and fly inside the window of Starlink mobile coverage, but kind of want to get around the place. So today I'm trying out the Garmin InReach Mini 2 with the tracking, so I'm using the map share high detail reporting to see how that goes. This also means that I've got a unit that's, it's going to find out if it works for the higher speeds in the aircraft, which pretty confident it will, because Garmin make a whole suite of avionics which are top of the range. And I don't see why they wouldn't be applying the same sort of tech, even if it's smaller, in their consumer level devices. The other thing is that what this gives me is the ability to check in, send messages, and be tracked when I'm in a vehicle or on foot that I don't have the Starlink with me. So now that we've got the Starlink mobile, that's not very often, but on the motorbike and on foot, this is going to be more convenient. So we're gonna find out how good it is and how much water there is just around the whole station. Later on I might see how I go about doing map share so people can track me like other people can. But let's jump in the plane and go for a wrap.
Okay, let's bump up our altitude to our accuracy. 1009, 100, 1009. There we go. Right, so I'm going to yell clear prop for accuracy for timing on that, but I'm going to turn my avionics off while I start. I don't like running it. Alright, so clear prop. Alright, and we'll bump up to the speed that the gearbox doesn't hate itself at. So 2700. Let as much air as I can in. Put away the old fuel calc. Now I have put a fuel meter in the pump here at home so I can measure perfectly in. So when I go over to my screen here and go to my engine info, and I get my fuel calculation, I've got an accurate level of fuel remaining. I've got a endurance here, it says 10.5 hours, but that's only at our 6.3. Once I'm airborne, we'll actually have the accurate, endurance. So, we will roll you back. Actually, we'll leave that on engine, so when we split again, we'll be on that once we're airborne. So 34, I've got to wait for that to come up to my 50 before we're happy. But let's make sure everything is hooked up. The inReach is rocking itself, it's happy. My phone should be connected to the inReach. I'll check my Bluetooth and see what we've got happening here. I'm using my A30s. They should be turned on, they are connected. Alright, so let's open up the Garmin Messenger app. So it is saying that we're connected, but it's last updated 17 minutes ago, so it mustn't have very good signal. So let's tracking updated 18 minutes ago. Message checked 18 minutes ago. Let's check our navigation and see if we've got. It's got our little trail there. 477 meters for our altitude. Alright. So where are we going to put you that you're definitely going to have signal? I don't want to put it all the way up on the dash because that's a bit in the way. If I had a little bit of my tough Velcro, I could stick it there and we'd be all good. But I've got the Starlink running. Maybe, just maybe. No, that's a bad spot. You're a bad spot. That's also a bad spot. Alright. It's got the silicon guard on it, so I'm going to wedge you kind of down there. Okay, now, Bluetooth hooked up. And I'm just going to send through, alright. Now I'm not going to touch my brakes at all going across this this section where the floodway is. Alright, now we can slow it down a little bit. Had a little bit of stuff get blown around on the strip here. I should do a good tidy up in the next day or two. Like, I've got some casing, like heavy duty electrical conduits blown across the strip. All or it's been flooded across it. I got a little bit of flood damage on the airstrip itself, but it's nothing too serious. So we're going to taxi down midway and take off towards the north. That's where I'm very interested to see the rainfall. It should give me a very slight headwind. Alright, lanes, and I disagree with doing these. I don't like the idea of turning an ECU off while you're running on it. So, lane B is the one that always has trouble, so kill lane B. And that's turning one ECU off. I'm starting to get my errors all here. I've got my error up there. Now we go to reboot that lane, and they should come back on, and that light should go off. We've just had it go off. Good. So let's go to lane A and run the checkup on that. Now it looks like I've got a couple of bush turkeys on the airstrip up there. Just very casually going along. Lane B, A. Yep, we're good there. Flick you back on. Look at them. That's a bloody... Okay, I'm sorry, but I'm taking a photo of that. That's incredible. Okay, so we're going to roll around, do our pitch check. So run line, run up to our 4000 and pitch off. John, pitch off. John. We're going to go full noise and put our flaps on as we go. Clean our flaps up, keep our nose down. And bring our revs down to our cruise of 5200 and manifold pressure to 32. Make sure that our flaps are all the way clean. Set my bug. Enable autopilot. Wait for the system to come online. System's online. Alright. Autopilot and on heading. And we might as well target an altitude of 2,500. And we'll go for that. Right, so we are making sure that our revs and pressure are all sorted, and I'll get some snaps out the window. Alright, so as we're ticking along here, just have a look and check how this Garmin is going. Right, so there's our tracking. So I'm just going to put my screen recorder on. Let's go none. Alright, manifold pressure goes up a little bit. Revs down a tiny bit because that's going to come up as I wind it up to my 32. Temperatures are okay, fuel pressure's okay. Right, so we're going to find out what those different lines mean, but I think that might be different speeds and everything. So it's got the road there, it's got where I've walked around, and then it's got my run on the taxiway. Then it's got us tracking out. Now, this is something I really don't like. I'm quite annoyed about this. I've got a Garmin watch, I've got Garmin avionics, and I've got a Garmin InReach. I have one account for all of it. So the aviation, the fitness, and then the tracking on the GPS. I pay a massive subscription for access to the maps for the screen itself, and I'm going to pay a different license for this aircraft and the other aircraft. On my phone, for the access to the same maps, so like here, we roll, we'll check our fuel. We've got 2 hours 44 endurance. I go around to our chart page, and what I've got is like my different layers, so I can change this over to like IFR low, which gives me my frequencies, so you know, your area frequencies, and I can go back to the VFR. Now, this map is very, very good on the station. I have it on my Garmin Aviation app, but I do not have access to that map without paying yet another subscription on here. So I've got offline satellite maps, which this is not too bad for, but I don't have this level with my InReach without paying a subscription. Not critical, but it's just a little bit frustrating that I can't use my aviation subscription maps over to this. Now, the Starlink, we are over speed at the moment. I mean, it's still trying to access. There we go, we're onto the network. So this thing will use the tracking through its GPS, but also through my phone's updates. Now, if I hit 99 knots, the Starlink will cut out. Unfortunately, what she's having at the moment is, because we're travelling north, it's oriented to the north, which is not the direction here in the southern hemisphere for the Starlink. So that's where the difference between the two systems is, that the Garmin should be tracking the whole time and giving a perfect trail, even though we're going faster. And it's a smaller unit which does have two-way messaging. Now, even though I've got the GPS and I've got the screen here with its fuel calculations in it, it's always good to manually check and eyeball your fuel, because you could have entered the wrong data. And then also worth on the longer flights and stuff, making sure that you keep your logbook. Now, these aircraft don't have individual tank control, unlike the Savannahs, which we kind of like, in the realm of like bush flying, because you never know what might happen. You could puncture a tank in a bad landing or a sketchy landing somewhere, which is not good, but it means you've still got fuel to get out of there without having to hit your emergency ping. Where this one is all fuel all the time, which is simpler to remember for operators, but yeah, you have that slight negative, the durability negative. Now, typically, I wouldn't worry about holding my altitude so much in around the station. We don't have any other traffic that's in this low level realm. And so when I'm getting those drafts and those little toss arounds, I generally will just let it ride. So I'll just turn my altitude hold off and just let the autopilot keep the heading. But today, I like this altitude for a good look around. If I want to change and screw around to a different heading and, you know, have a different look, I can just move it on the bug and just roll us around like in a few degrees at a time, which is very good for venturing in onto airfields. Now, just as an indication, far out to my left, I saw a eagle. He was, you know, half a kilometre, more than half a kilometre off. So not a major concern in my flight scan. But he was sitting about 200 feet lower than I was. So they are taking advantage of this thermal to hang up in the air longer for looking for prey. Which I have to admit, they are like incredibly good with their eyes to be able to see things like a mouse or a bunger or something from up here. Now, Dad and I have been discussing which headset we like the most. And we had that issue a long time ago with the Lightspeed Delta Zulu. Yeah, Delta Zulu, yeah. And I traded those in for these Bose A30s, which are supposed to be, you know, top of the wazza. They've got a variable noise reduction set up in them. And I don't mind it, but the issue is that because they're digital, not analog, they actually don't perform as well as the Bose A30s, the older generation in this light sport aircraft. So Dad is very happily running the gel ear cups on his, which I get from Noise Fighters over in the US, and they are just incredibly good. These ones, very comfy, but they advertise that they've got less head pressure on them, which, yeah, has its advantage, but the disadvantage is for situations like this where it's actually not blocking out a lot of noise. So my little cheeky mod, and I probably should just get a small headband to improve this headset and the noise cancellation or noise reduction, is just simply to put the little neck gaiter on, and it just increases that little bit of pressure and does a pretty good bit of noise reduction. Now, Jonah and I were talking yesterday about a fire that we could see a couple of weeks ago, and I reckon I've just found where it was. Okay, now it's time to have a look down here. So I'm just going to turn my autopilot off. And have a little bit of a cruise around here up at Bloodwood to have a look at the water. And again, just take some more photos to send through. Have a good look around this because it's such a good, reliable water source. A lot of animals know it. And you've got this pasture basically on the edge of it, which keeps on getting this little top up of rain, and it seems to do really well. It's the kind of spot that would be great to just get out there with a seeder and just plant an improved pasture to see what could possibly grow and how you could increase the productivity of this area.
Luna traffic, Beach Hotel, November Yankee Alpha 50.
Now that was the Walloon CTAF channel. I generally jump onto that for, that's our CTAF for all of these sites at the stations and stuff. Or, you know, the area frequency, so not Melbourne Centre. If I jump onto Melbourne Centre, we'll hear everyone upstairs and, you know, all the guys flying everywhere up at those flight levels. Roll around, set my bug towards the my heading over towards my target, which is Bullock or Tunel sort of area. Want to have a little bit of a glance over there. I'm about to go directly over the top of Tunel, and yesterday what we noticed was a lot of water there flowing past the yard. So one of our concerns was that our airstrip was going to be completely and utterly washed out. But what I did last time I was up here with the grader is I put a huge amount of drains running off it, and I extended it, so it looks like my airstrip has held up. It has. Bloody beautiful. Alright, roll the bug around to Bullock. I reckon the Starlink knows that the Garmin is there, and it's kind of jealous. And it's going, you know, I can keep up with you. Alright, the position update was successful. Now this inReach should be able to run for about 2 days of constant high performance tracking without having to charge it. Now, the advantage of this one over the earlier models is that it is Type C, which everything that I use runs off a Type C. So it's a common charger that I've always got on me. So if I ever end up in a situation where she's running low on battery, well, I can flick it on and charge it up. The other ones are like the inReach Messenger, which is larger and has slightly better performance and a longer lasting battery. However, I went for the Mini 2 because it is smaller and the option to just clip it on to any of my gear was there, and the more independent use that it has. So it doesn't have to have your mobile phone. You can, you've got basic tasks you can do with it. Got a mob of cattle that are walking out of Bullock, so they're well trained. They like their water. So as always, you got your head outside the window. You make sure you check everything out there, and keep doing your scans high and low. Make sure that you don't have any birds, other aircraft. Make sure you've still got fuel in your wings, and keep a good eye out for any ferals or anything else that you can really see. Now the Starlink is secured up there, and I've got my cable routed down there to a battery which is behind the seat, so it can't get in the way, and it's held on there with industrial Velcro, which does a pretty good job. So we've got 2 hours of fuel on board left, so we've got plenty. Now, just as a reference, if I go back to my chart and click to Prenty, it is 31 miles away, and it's 20 minutes. So we're just about at the far northeastern part of the station, and I'll be approximately 25-30 minutes from Prenty, depending on the wind. Alright, I got visual on my water point called Pixie, so I'm going to turn my autopilot off. Just fly over the point itself. Now I'm going to get out here and put a dipstick on this one, but the challenge is actually getting out here. I can land the Savannah out here. I'm not, overly enthused about landing this one there. I also need to spend a little bit more time and make that airstrip just a smidge longer and wider. But we got water in the trough, so we're looking good. So this is kind of the extent, like that's, the clay pans don't go, there's not many out there, so this kind of is the point at which everything will go out to. That's also where you'll start to sort of get the camels early on. Alright, so I kind of got preoccupied with having a look out at out the window. So I'm pretty sure that the 360 camera is going to be flat. The battery on this one went flat, but we are on approach back to the homestead. And I can just say there's a lot of water around. There's still water actually flowing through the creek down here. Last one did a spring. Alright, so on the prep for coming in home, I'm just going to kill the autopilot. Turn it all the way off. And I've got multiple different winds sort of happening here. I've got 4 knots on the nose. Well, from us like right. So I'm just sort of going to assess which strip I'm going to bring it in on. The wind does seem to be kind of flicking around a bit. I'm going to have a look at the flags and the windsock. Kind of work out what I'm dealing with down there. Down there it kind of looks like if I go on the main strip, I'm going to have a little bit of a tailwind, I guess. Alright, they're just flapping around doing silly things. Yeah, that looks like, so up here I effectively had a nose wind. Down there it'll be a bit of a tailwind, so I'm going to use the main long strip for this one. Brakes clean. Undercarriage is still there. Mixture's fixed. Primer's on. I'll bring my speed down just a smidge before I slip the flaps one stage on. A little bit late in the game, but let's get one stage on. Second stage on. Pitch to the wall. All the way on the flaps. We just bring her in nice and gently. Ended up with 12 on the nose there, which is just making this really smooth. Go nose down. Oh, lovely. Those flaps are just too effective at times. Alright, let's clean those flaps up. Get my trim neutral. Primer's off. Door for some airflow. Alright, now we're going to monitor our temperatures while we do the rundown. Alright, and the Garmin used 3% battery during that entire episode of tracking. And the Starlink is turned off now. And I will go into the inReach. And we're going to stop tracking. Alright, temperatures are climbing, so let's shut them down.
Rightio, so that's that little flight and run around completed. Lots of water around. It's interesting where it has and hasn't sort of fallen. So yeah, it's always good to get up and have a fly, because there's a lot of spots where you'd sort of get to and you wouldn't be able to drive through it, and then you wouldn't know that the next section was dry. So yeah, there's more forecast for the weekend, and yeah, I guess we'll check that out when that happens, if the forecast is accurate. But now I've got a couple other little jobs and stuff to do, and can tick on with my day and hopefully edit up a video. I keep saying that in the last 3 that I've recorded, I've said I'm going to edit it up, and I just haven't had the time. So I should make the time. You know, you guys, you know, who support me sort of deserve good regular content. So thanks again for all of that, guys, and yeah, sorry you missed the landing. Oh well, I'll next time I might find somewhere that's dry enough to land. Cheers.